Hello, hello. It's Memento. And do you want to buy a book? Maybe three, maybe five, maybe the whole bookshop? Well, I have exactly what you need. Welcome to Tiny Bookshop, a game where you run away from your life. You decide that you no longer want to deal with the horrible responsibilities of reality. And you run away to a small little beachside town and sell books out of the back of your little attached camper van like thing. There's probably a name for it, but I can't think of what it is. Anyway, I played the demo for Tiny Bookshop months ago and I fell in love with it. There's actually a video of it on this channel. I'll link it below. And thanks to Lurkit, I was able to get a free copy of the game to play and share my review with all of you. Although I've received this game for free, I'm not sponsored by Tiny Bookshop, nor am I receiving any money in exchange for this review. All thoughts and opinions are my own. Now that that's out of the way, I want to take you all through my first 3 hours playing the game and share my insights on how I'm liking the full release of Tiny Bookshop. As with all of my reviews, I'm inclined to speak about the music first, as you'll be hearing it throughout this video. I found the music to be simple yet charming, with each area having a distinct soundtrack that fit the vibe. I love the music for each area, and I found it soothing, and overall, I would say that it gave me a cozier experience. But there are little pieces of improvement in my personal opinion, and this comes from, as I say in a lot of these videos, I'm a music teacher, I've been studying music, and I've been playing music since I was 6 years old. So one of the things I noticed was that at the end of the day, the music changes to a specific tune that gives you an auditory cue that it's time to close up shop. And I really like how they did this, even if the music for this particular section was probably my least favorite track in the game. But it's something you can rely on, and it stays the same no matter where you are, and while it interrupts the flow, it's kind of like how an alarm wakes you up from sleep, but not abrasive. And just because it's my least favorite track does not mean I think it's bad. It's just out of all the tracks in the game, it was my personal least favorite. But I really enjoyed that auditory cue to be like, oh, it's the end of the day. Work is finished. We can go home now. There's one other time where I noticed the music changes, and that's during the special requests. And I'll talk more about the special requests when I get to the mechanics section, but at first I didn't mind this because the track is good. But the further in I got, I was getting more and more and more special requests, and it sort of gave me pause because it started to interrupt the flow of the music playing in the background of this game. And I found that when it happened repeatedly, it just sort of took me out of immersion a little bit. Now, I recognize that a lot of people probably won't even notice this, but since music is such a large part of my life, it stood out to me so much. And I just think personally, I would have preferred to just have one track playing throughout the whole day, just as a personal opinion. That being said, I didn't mean to talk about music for so long, but sometimes I can't help myself. And overall, I really do find that the music of Tiny Bookshop is so charming. I loved just relaxing and listening to the tracks that play. And from each location I've been to, I believe there is a different track for every single location. So it's really lovely. So now that I've yapped on to you about music, let's move on to the story. At its core, the story of Tiny Bookshop is a really simple one. You get tired of your life, you run away, and you sell books in a small town. It's cute, it's simple, and quite frankly, it works. I don't think the story needs to be overcomplicated because in my personal interpretation of it, I feel like people who play Tiny Bookshop most likely want the appeal of leaving big city life and stressful jobs behind. And for that reason, I think the story setup of Tiny Bookshop is exactly where it needs to be. So let's go a little further on with how the story progresses in Tiny Bookshop. From there, you move on to meet a quirky cast of characters, each one moving the plot along with the requests that they give you. So some of those requests are visiting a location 3 times, you might have to click on different things to collect them, like the seashells, or help a specific amount of people, like the sailors, to progress. And the world unfolds around you by making these connections and opening up more opportunities. I personally really like how this is done because it feels natural without being overbearing. You don't have to rush to do everything as there's no time limit, only things that happen on specific days. So, you know, I wanted to make sure that I was able to get in good with the fishermen so I could go to the fish market because there are specific things you can only buy at the fish market. Also, you're going to get better business on those days, so you can make business decisions. I know that sounds a little strange from my relaxing cozy game, but business brain. But you don't have to make those decisions. You kind of are like, do you want, if you don't feel like going to the seaside on fish market day, you don't have to, and that's okay. And some of the days will have you choosing. Sometimes multiple things line up on the same day. Like, as I kept playing, back to school was opening up, but it was also the day that it was the supermarket mega savings day. Both of those were going to have a high influx, and you had to pick which one you wanted to do, or you could choose to not do either. That being said, I do want to bring to the attention, don't cart around stuff you don't need to. And you will know the exact quest I mean if you play this game, because I suffered in my mistake. And oh boy, you have a traveling fee to go to each location, and mine was high. But that was my mistake. That wasn't, I'm not blaming the game. It was just, it was quite funny. And, you know, I was about to move on, but I wrote the script and then I kept playing the game. And fortunately, I was recording, and I just wanted to say, at the end of the summer season, you get the sweetest scene, and I just wanted to show a little bit of it to you all and talk about it a little bit. There's an end of summer bonfire, and I thought this was such a lovely touch that allows you to come together with pretty much every character you've met thus far. You learn a little bit more about them and also release some of your own tensions into the fire. And I just really enjoyed it. And this is one of the few times when you are required to go to the location. Nowhere else is open to you on that day. So there are clearly required story events that happen. Also, you can go into debt to travel to locations, which was nice because I did. Not on that day though. And I really am wondering what we're going to get at the end of the fall season, and I'm really excited that I unlocked, I believe, 3 new locations at the end of summer that I have not yet had a chance to go see, and I'm very excited for it. Okay, I'm finally moving on to the characters though. Tiny Bookshop has a wide variety of characters, and I really did enjoy each new character that I met. I met a few of them in the demo, but Being 3 hours into the full game, there are even more charming characters for me to fall in love with. The first character you meet, this is a very important character in these cozy games, and that is Tilda. She is an older, retired woman who loves books, learning, and is just your typical sweet old lady. She's such a delight to be around and helps you through the tutorial stages, as well as lead you through much of the beginning part of the story. She's definitely a key character and fills the role perfectly, and I really enjoyed each time she would show up, and I like how she gets you started before allowing you to progress the story in the order you want to. Also, to go along with each of these characters have a certain buff that they give you when they enter your shop. So when Tilda is in your shop, there are certain books that are going to automatically sell a little bit better while she's in there. And I think that's a nice touch because it also tells you what kind of books she likes versus what kind of books Fern likes versus what kind of books Klaus likes. And I think that's a nice touch. And that being said, each character feels fun and unique. I liked seeing the familiar faces from the demo, like Fern, who loves me, but also meeting new characters like Klaus, who is really a subvert to my expectations. Klaus doesn't look like they would be into classical and historic literature, so it was always really fun trying to find books. Each character helps to make the game come alive, and you learn so much about all of them through how they speak and what books they like. I truly enjoyed how Tiny Bookshop explores each character through dialogue and even further through book recommendations. It's a nice touch that helps to set this game apart from so many others in the genre, because believe me, this is a huge and vast genre, and it can be really hard to set yourself apart from other games in it. Oh, and I still ship us with Fern. They totally have a crush on us, and it's adorable. Finally, the beefy section. We have to talk about mechanics. So I've lightly touched on a couple of the mechanics throughout the other sections, but now's the time for it to really shine. So at its core, Tiny Bookshop is a resource management game, and I want to delve into how Tiny Bookshop sets itself apart from so many other resource management games. Tiny Bookshop relies much on the same formula each day. Open shop, pet the dog, recommend books to customers, look at the local shop when applicable, close up shop, and rinse and repeat. At the start of each day, you read the paper, and that allows you to buy some books to restock, buy decorations for the season, and you're also going to be able to organize what books you're selling that day. In this sense, there's not a lot of variety. So how is Tiny Bookshop making it interesting? First off, they use the book recommendation mechanic. This keeps you trained on the bookshop itself. You have to actively recommend books to the customers, and you're going to get a bonus if you give them something that they like. This keeps you focused on the van and keeps you from disengaging entirely, because if it was just running on auto, even though the days aren't super long, it wouldn't be very engaging. So I like that this is something that requires you to actively look through your books and try to recommend something. Second, in the beginning, there are things to do when you first go to a new location. I'm going to talk about the waterfront as my first example. You have to sell books to 20 sailors to progress the storyline with the captain, and the captain is a character that you can repeatedly go back to, and there's also a dog you can repeatedly go back to. You know, the dog I talked about. And this gives you a reason to return to the waterfront, but you don't have to do it all at once if you don't want to. There's also shops in many of the places, and those shops are going to change daily, so you can see what decorations that you can get in each one, especially since sometimes you need certain decorations to win the favor of the people. Or maybe the sailors are just a little picky. I think you have to do this later. I thought I saw some whispers of having to change around your shop a little bit more, so I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. So the other example I have is when you go to a new area, you might spot a unique item that you can pick up. Or in the case of the beach, you have a mini quest where you need to collect 20 shells for Harper in order to progress her storyline. So this is something that you can do in a couple of the locations. I think the beach, the waterfront, and probably the lighthouse as well, although I didn't find any while I was at the lighthouse, but I think you can. And you also eventually get a recycling bin that you can choose to put out and collect recycling. I don't know if it gives you any money, but hey, you can pick up the clutter. All of this adds up to help keep you engaged with the story, and I personally found it to be quite effective. The days aren't so long that you're going to find yourself bored, but aren't so short that you can't do anything during them. Now, I will be honest about one thing. I happened to play on my phone a bit while I waited for requests. This is because I happen to struggle with sitting still while recording raw footage where I'm not even talking, I'm just trying to take in the game itself, and sometimes I have a lot of trouble sitting still with that. I don't believe the average person would have this issue. It's me, I'm the problem in this case. That being said, when I would do this, I managed to service every single customer, and I never neglected Tiny Bookshop for what I was doing. My brain just moves a mile a minute. But I wanted to let you all know, just in case, if you struggle to sit still, there might be times when you get distracted by something else. In general, though, I do think the gameplay loop is relatively solid, and by and large, after those first few days, you start getting enough book requests that it's pretty consistent. So now that we've talked about mechanics for selling books, I want to talk about how you set up your shop. Each day you have to restock your shelves, and you can organize your shop to your liking. So there's a ton of spaces that you can place items both inside your shop and outside of your shop. And if you want to min-max this game, you definitely have the option to do so. I personally have not been min-maxing. So when you restock your shelves, each area has a higher chance of selling specific books. So when you're down at the waterfront, travel books have an increased chance. So if you're going to the waterfront that day, put a few extra travel books in. While I would put a few extra in, I definitely was not trying to min-max, and my general approach was I had variety with a couple extra books of the specific genre of the area. And I like that this is a way you can cater to your strengths without a difficulty setting, and I would love to try taking some notes and actually see how optimized I could make going to these locations. However, when just starting the game and wanting to see what it would offer, I couldn't help but crave something more casual. So tell me how you would play this game. Are you a min-maxer or are you a casual gamer? Because I like to flip between both. It's the Gemini in me. Before I get to the final section, I like to do a little bit of housekeeping where I give you things like the highlight of my game. The highlight is that I get to pet the dog every single day, and this is a huge win. The dog is perfect and wonderful, and I will love him forever. Another fun little mechanic, I talked about this earlier, you get a recycling bin and you can pick up garbage anywhere you go. And I really like being able to do things like that because it means that every time I visit and repeat visit an area, there's still something to do, and it's never just managing your shop. So, on to the last part. I want to talk a little bit about coziness. This is a cozy game. You can min-max it if that's your playstyle, but I don't think the game pressures you to do that at all. There doesn't seem to be any kind of deadline. You're not paying anyone back. You're just a tiny bookshop trying to make the most of things. You know, I ran out of travel books, yet I can still go to the waterfront. I might not make a huge profit, but that's okay. I still got to go. The art of this game is beautiful, the music is immersive, and overall I found it really relaxing. To me, this is a lovely and cozy resource management game. It's not going to stress you out, it's going to give you something that you can do after a long day of working your 9 to 5. You can work your little dream job. I also really like that every single book in it is a real book, or at least I've only seen real books with real descriptions, and you can tell that a lot of love went into the creation of this game. Tiny Bookshop retails for $20, but is currently on sale for launch at $18. And I'm going to be honest, because that's the point of this review, I was a little skeptical about the price. So I went to do some research, and I'm happy to share that research with you all. I was a little worried that I had progressed really quickly in the game, and I was a little worried that this was a 10-hour game, and it was going to be over in a flash, and 20 felt a little steep. So I went to the reviews of the game, and I just was looking for how many hours people put into this game, and I saw quite a few people saying that they had put 40 and 50 hours into the game, and Steam backed that up, and they weren't finished yet. So this game is massive. It's a really big game, and I think that combined with the quality, the fact that all of the books are real books, and the fact that you are going to be putting a lot of time into this game, I think $20 is a very fair price tag. Now, if you are not feeling that price tag, hold out for the Steam Fall Sale, because I think it will dip lower than even their launch price, as the big Steam sales tend to do that. But I do think that $20, given how much this game seems to have to offer, is well worth it. I've been looking forward to this game since it came across my radar all those months ago, and I can confidently say that I genuinely enjoyed it. My high expectations have absolutely been met, and I'm looking forward to diving back into the world to see all that it has to offer. I want to know how many more places I can get to, how many more people I can meet, and I need to decorate more. Once I have gotten more stuff, I'm going to do a full overhaul, because the nautical theme is out, and I've heard rumors there's a gothic theme, and I need that. And that's it. That's my review for Tiny Bookshop. I am so happy and so honored that I was able to get a copy of this game, review this game for you guys, and I hope that this can help. If you have any questions about it, please put them in the comments down below, and I will be more than happy to answer any and all questions that I possibly can to the best of my ability. I've really enjoyed it so far, and I'm looking forward to diving back in for fall. Gosh, please give me spooky things. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, leave a nice little comment, or maybe even subscribe so that you can know every time I upload a new video. And with that being said, have a fantastic rest of your night. Ready, steady,